What if I told you that student life in Germany is way weirder than you think? I studied my bachelor's in Germany and am now in my master's in Germany. And let me tell you, there are things that most international students have no idea about until they get here. I'm sharing some of the most unexpected, maybe strangest things about student life in Germany. Things that might completely change how you imagine studying here. And trust me, you want to stick around until the end of this video, because there are some things that you wouldn't expect. First up, German student parties are way cheaper than clubs. Let me explain. In Germany, nightlife is expensive. You will pay anywhere from 10 to 20 euros just for getting in. And once you're inside, drinks are expensive. Cocktails can be around 10 euros each, and even a basic beer can set you back 5 euros or more. But what many international students don't know before they start studying in Germany is that German universities have their own student-organized parties. And they're not only cheaper, but often even more fun. These events are called Fachschaftspartys, which are organized by student councils, faculty groups, or student organizations within the university. They're extremely affordable and social. At these parties, entry is usually just a couple of euros, sometimes just 1 or 2 euros per person, or maybe even free. And the best part is that it's the same for the drink prices. A beer that would normally cost 5 euros in a club might be only 1 or 2 euros at a student party. Cocktails are often around 3 to 5 euros, which makes it super affordable and very budget friendly. The atmosphere at these parties is also completely different from typical nightlife. In a club, you're surrounded by strangers and it can be difficult to meet new people. But at student parties, it's much more social. Basically, all attendees are students from the same university or even the same department, and you can just talk to anyone with already having something in common. The parties are usually held directly on campus in university buildings that have been converted into temporary party venues, complete with dance floors, bars, and DJs. Some even take place in student dormitories, where entire buildings are turned into massive house parties for the night. And because these parties are organized by students for students, they often have themes, fun decorations, and unique drink specials. You'll find everything from like 80s retro nights to beach-themed parties. I was once at a party where they even had sand, and even events where you can get discounts if you show up in a costume. Since the people organizing these events are students themselves, they know exactly what kind of party atmosphere works best and how to make the night enjoyable for everyone. It's also worth mentioning that while these parties are much cheaper and more casual, they can get just as wild or even more crazy as any club. Some of them attract hundreds, even thousands of students. Since drinks are cheaper, people tend to let loose more, and the energy can be just as high as in a nightclub. Number 2, some exams are oral, not written. When you think of exams, you probably picture a large lecture hall filled with students hunched over their desks, but in Germany, exams can work very differently. In some subjects, instead of a written test, you'll be sitting face to face with your professor. Maybe one other person, like an assistant professor, will be there as well, and you will answer questions by talking. That's what is known as an oral exam. They are common in certain fields, like in the humanities, social sciences, but actually I also had one in a technical class. The session usually lasts anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour. I'll admit it, this sounds intimidating and sometimes overwhelming, since you have to answer on the spot and cannot just skip to another question first, like you could in written exams. However, in my experience, it is much more fun and forgiving, because if you missed some details, the professor can just ask, well, Marcus, didn't you forget about something? Is there more? And you can think again about the exact thing the professor wants to hear. If you get stuck on a question, you can ask for clarification, and sometimes the professor will even guide you toward the right answer. Next up, you can get free train rides. One of the biggest surprises for students in Germany is just how affordable public transportation is, for students at least. Previously, there was the semester ticket, which might have cost around like 100 euros to maybe a bit more, depending on in which university city you are. And for that price, you can travel around your university city as much as you want. Now, Germany has introduced the Germany ticket, which actually only costs about 38 euros per month. So literally, but if you pay these 38 euros per month, you can go with the slow local trains. You can go from the very south to the very north of Germany for the entire month, as many times as you want. So what exactly does this mean in real life? Let's say you're studying in a city like Frankfurt. Normally, your semester ticket might only cover Frankfurt and its surrounding region. But if you have the Deutschland ticket, so the Germany ticket, you can hop on a regional train and travel to Munich, Cologne, or Berlin, all without paying anything as long as you don't take the high-speed trains. So basically, you can travel through all of Germany within just 12 hours for free. a distance for which you would typically pay between like 100 to 200 euros for just one way. And because Germany has such an extensive rail network, you can get almost anywhere, even to small towns and hidden gems that most people never visit, because all kinds of regional buses are included as well. Just make sure to plan in some time, because the Deutsche Bahn is known for not being on time or even canceling trains sometimes. Some libraries have sleeping areas, or kind of. Libraries are cool, but sleeping there is just uncomfortable. Luckily, many universities have rest areas, so you can sleep there. These spaces even include couches, maybe day beds or recliners designed specifically for resting, so you can take short naps without leaving the library. Typically, sleeping there overnight is forbidden, but I sometimes went to the university quite early, and you cannot tell me that the students who occupied a room with a couch for themselves tucked in a blanket didn't sleep there. However, mostly it is rather designed for resting and maybe taking a nap. Some few libraries actually open 24/7, so I guess during the exam season, some people really maxed it out and basically lived there. By the way, some big companies in Germany also have designated nap areas. The only thing that we need more are real sleeping areas with beds, like some special universities do in France. Professors don't care if you cheat on homework. In most German universities, professors don't really care if you cheat on your homework or even if you do it at all. Sounds weird, right? But let me explain. First, let's talk about how homework works in Germany. Unlike in some other countries where assignments make up a big part of your final grade, in many German universities, homework doesn't actually count towards your final score, at least in most cases. Instead, assignments are often just practice. Exercises designed to help you understand the material, but not something that directly affects your academic record. This is especially true in subjects like engineering, math, and natural sciences, where professors assign problem sets, exercises, or research tasks that students are expected to complete, but no one is strictly monitoring how they do it, or even if they do it at all. This leads to an interesting situation. Because the assignments don't directly impact your grade, professors don't spend much time enforcing strict rules around them. If students decide to work together, share answers, or even copy from one another, nobody cares. Their attitude is, if copying helps you learn, go ahead. If it doesn't, well, that's your problem. The idea is that students are responsible for their own education, and if they rely on shortcuts, they will ultimately struggle when it really matters, which is on the exam. And this is where the biggest difference between Germany and other education systems becomes clear. In many countries, students are constantly given small assignments, quizzes, or participation points throughout the semester, which means they always have a chance to boost their grades. In Germany, this is not the case. In most subjects, like I explained in past videos that you should definitely watch, your entire grade is based on one final exam or one major project at the end of the semester. That's it. Like one shot, no safety net. And professors know that. If you cheat, you're only cheating on yourself. Because when it comes time for the actual test, you either know the material or you don't. Another interesting thing is that some professors will give out homework with solutions already included. Literally, they will have the assignment sheets and below that there's a sheet with the answers. But why is that? Because again, the goal isn't to catch students cheating, it's to help them understand concepts. If you use the answer key to check your work and learn from your mistakes, great. If you just copy everything without thinking, you'll probably fail the exam, and professors won't feel bad about it. This also means that in many cases, professors won't even collect homework. They will assign problems, expect students to complete them on their own, and then go over the solutions in class. Whether you actually did the work is completely your responsibility. No one is going to check or chase you down. So that is at least for the Universitäten, the universities, not the universities of applied sciences, where you typically also have deadlines throughout the semester. I want to know what you think about this approach. Let me know in the comments. You can be kicked out for taking too long to graduate, and you cannot apply to any other university. Germany is quite strict with how long you are allowed to study. Let me walk you through an example. The standard study period for a bachelor's program is typically 6 or 8 semesters long. It depends a bit on what you study. And then it depends on the university. Some universities allow you up to 4 semesters longer to finish your studies, but others, like the Technical University of Munich, where I study, only allow 2 more semesters. And if you don't complete your studies by then, you will actually be kicked out of your university and you might not be able to apply to another university. So why does this happen? The main reason is that universities in Germany are designed to be efficient. Unlike in some countries where universities rely on tuition fees from students, Public universities in Germany are largely funded by the government. This means they have an interest in making sure students complete their degrees in a reasonable time frame so that new students can take their place. They don't want people staying enrolled forever without making progress, taking up spaces and resources that could go to new students who are actively working towards graduation. One of the biggest dangers of being removed from a university for taking too long is that it's not just a simple case of, oh, well, I'll just reapply next year. In many cases, if you get kicked out of university for exceeding the study time limits, you might be banned from re-enrolling in the same program anywhere in Germany. That means if you were studying mechanical engineering and got removed for taking too long, you might not be allowed to apply for the same degree at another university in the country. Again, this shows that German universities expect students to take responsibility for their own education. Free beer at some events. Germany is known for beer. And actually, universities do provide free beer sometimes. You see, while in many other countries alcohol on the campus is maybe even forbidden, at many universities across Germany, free beer is actually a regular part of student culture, offered at everything from faculty parties to networking events to political discussions. And even crazier, sometimes they will also have free beer at university parties. At the Technical University of Munich, for example, this is where I study, there is a welcome party each year, which basically is an open-air festival with, yes, free beer. But in addition, you will also find free beer sometimes on smaller events. For example, if a student council is hosting a welcome party for new students, they might offer a free beer as a way to create a relaxed social atmosphere. Some events are purely social, like semester kickoff parties or department gatherings, while others might be tied to academic or professional networking. The idea is simple. Students are more likely to attend an event, stay longer, and actually engage with others if they have a drink in the hand. For free, and also free food. Students are broke, so they appreciate free things. You have to register for exams separately. In Germany, enrolling in a class does not mean you're automatically registered for the exam. If you forget to sign up, you are not allowed to take the exam, even if you have been enrolled in a class and have attended every single lecture. I didn't know that when I started studying and I got confused. Here is how it works. At the beginning of the semester, you choose your courses, attend lectures, do assignments, maybe even participate in tutorials. But if you want to take the exam, you have to sign up for your exams within the official registration period, which is typically a couple of weeks into the semester until a couple of weeks before the exam season starts. So you have to sign up early. However, typically you can still deregister shortly before the exam if you found out that you're absolutely not ready yet. So make sure to check your university registration deadlines as early as possible. Never assume you will get a notification. It's your responsibility to stay on top of it. If you miss the deadline, there is usually no way to fix it. And you will have to wait until the next exam period, which might be months away, so this is not good. But just in case that you would ever find yourself in a situation like that, where you missed the registration deadline, talk to your university exam office immediately. And in some cases, I hope they're nice, then you might be able to get an exception. Some universities don't have campuses. When you imagine going to a university, you probably picture a big campus, one with green lawns, student dormitories, a large cafeteria, maybe even a football stadium or a big library where students gather to study. But in Germany, this is often not the case, like at all. In fact, many universities don't have a single central campus. Instead, the university buildings are spread all over the city. It feels more like the university is integrated into the city itself. So maybe many of the buildings are in one place, but still some other lecture rooms might be just randomly on the third floor of some random building complex where the university was able to rent an empty formerly office space. Happened to me before. But why is it like that? The reason is historical. Many German universities are very old, some dating back to like hundreds of years. When they first were established, they were of course much smaller, and then when the university wanted to expand, maybe there was not enough space in dense and now populated cities. For some older universities, the faculties were not close together. Rather, they started as faculty buildings in different parts of the old city. Over time, as universities expanded, instead of constructing a new central campus, they simply just added more buildings wherever space was available. So also the rooms look very, very different, depending on whether you are going into a very old or a rather new building. Because German universities don't have a single campus, student housing is also scattered throughout the entire city. This means you have to find your own accommodation, and it's not guaranteed that you will be living near your university buildings. Some students end up renting apartments or living in student dormitories that are like 20 to 40 minutes away from where their actual classes take place, which can make commuting a daily challenge. You can attend other universities' classes for free. If you're a student at a German university, you often have the freedom to attend lectures at other universities for free, even if you're not enrolled there. And in some cases, you can even earn credits at multiple universities at the same time, depending on how the institutions are connected. So how is this possible? The main reason is that German universities operate as part of a larger academic network, rather than as completely separate. Many universities, especially those located in the same city or region, have partnerships that allow students to take courses at multiple institutions without any extra fees. And even more interesting, at least unofficially, you actually don't have to register for lectures, because many universities have a very open door policy when it comes to lectures, meaning that as long as there is space in the room, you can simply walk in and listen. Now that I think about it, it's actually also partly because, well, there's no attendance requirements oftentimes at the public universities. And this means, of course, professors would never be able to tell whether somebody is a student or not, because they don't know all of the students. But I also had the case that some professors at my classes even encourage students from other universities to attend or invite other people that are not enrolled in this class. This is especially true for large lectures based on courses where additional attendees don't create any extra work for them. Like sometimes when my friends and I didn't have anything to do but wait for our next class, we would sometimes just walk around and just go into some lectures and see if there is something interesting taught. And because there are many big lecture halls and attendance is not really mandatory, nobody really cares if people drop in the middle of class or leave earlier, as long as you are quiet and don't distract other people. This means that if you're studying at one university, but there's a really interesting lecture happening at another university nearby, in many cases you can simply walk in, attend the lecture, nobody will stop you. So what do you think about these things? Let me know in the comments. And of course, see you in the next one. Keep growing.